I'd like to welcome Karina Stephens from Australia. Is that correct? Which part of Australia are you in?
Byron Bay, so northern New South Wales.
Oh, close to what? Noosa Doosa, is that the place?
About 4 hours south of Noosa. So yeah, it's quite popular. We get a lot of the movie stars that come and live here. It's quite a tourist attraction with the beaches and the surfy and hippie lifestyle.
So in a way, we're really nearly opposite parts of the world. I'm in Brussels, Belgium, where the winter is starting, and for you, the summer is coming along nicely. Well, in Byron Bay, I suppose it's always good weather, or not?
Oh yeah, it does get a little bit cold, but I've been to Belgium and totally loved it. Oh, so really? I love your part of the world.
Like our anti-stress chocolates and things like that.
Chocolate's always anti-stress.
So, Karina, you call yourself a modern-day alchemist and an advocate for holistic health and well-being. You've written a lovely book called The StressLess Revolution. Is there something else that you would like to add about yourself before I ask you some more questions about stress?
No, I think yeah, that's my passion at the moment. I've had many passions in my lifetime. So at the moment I guess I'm passionate about transformation and seeing people reach their full potential and in a very holistic, natural way.
Okay. And so how did you become interested in the topic of stress?
Yeah. So for me, it was a very personal journey. I didn't think that I was a stressed out person. Like sometimes you think of stress and you think of anxiety and like just how people react and get all in their head and everything like that. I didn't show those signs outwardly of stress. If you had to see me on the outside, I just was coasting through life. But for me, what was happening was internally, my organs and my systems in my body were just running on overdrive.
Okay.
So that's what happened to me. It was 2012. We have my husband and I have a couple of businesses, and one of our businesses was a spa and retreat. So we were getting people to come to our beautiful haven and relax because I was seeing so many people stressed out, and we were getting them totally relaxed. And what was happening was my sort of business driven, very ambitious and focused personality was just getting, I guess that was stressing me out on the inside. So we won the award for Best Day Spa in Australasia, and that was so all of Australia and all of Asia, and it was just our tiny little business. And instead of stopping and celebrating, I just went, what's next? What's next? And that's what I did. That's how I lived my life. What's next? What's next? Very goal-centered. But what was next for me was burnout. So in my book, I say I was burnt out, stressed out, maxed out, and checked out, because that's what happened. And I was diagnosed with stage 2 adrenal fatigue. So my adrenals were completely exhausted. That I'd been getting my energy from my adrenals instead of like from my nutrition. My body was so compromised that I wasn't able to absorb the nutrition anyway, because I did have a really good diet. So I was on like in my bed for the next 6 months. I literally couldn't work. It was like it was overwhelmed. So I didn't know what was happening. It was really it was like I thought there was something wrong with me because I was experiencing severe overwhelm. I would sit at my computer and I would want to work, but it was just literally I couldn't. And I was so tired all the time. And I would could literally sleep for 12 hours and wake up in the morning and I would still be tired. Mm-hmm. So I knew something was wrong. And so for me, it was like I lived in this beautiful part of the world. I remember waking up one day, I looked out of my windows, I saw the bamboo swaying in the breeze. We overlooked a lake. I saw the birds flying and chirping. It was a beautiful sunny day. And instead of feeling so much gratitude, I just went, no, and I pulled the doona back over my head, because straight away it was all the to-dos I had to do that way, and my body couldn't physically cope with all that.
Okay.
And so I went to a holistic GP, because for me, like the general sort of doctors weren't getting my symptoms. They were labeling me as depression or something like that, but I knew there was something internally wrong. So I went to a holistic GP, and we took all my hormone levels with saliva. We did everything internally, and that's how she knew that my cortisol levels were reversed and that I was depleted in adrenaline, and all my hormones were out of whack. So she said to me, basically, I need to rethink my lifestyle and reduce my stress. Okay. And it was that week where my father had just been diagnosed with cancer. My father-in-law had heart failure and nearly died. My spa manager gave me a week's notice and resigned, and she's telling me to reduce my stress. And I'm like, oh, what do I do here? Like, life still goes on.
It's like another level. Yeah. So just to refer, from the adrenal glands, for the listeners who don't know it, or the viewers, it's on top of your kidney, and it produces adrenaline and cortisol, and that cortisol is one of the important factors, of course, for our glucose and for our energy, because it has influence on insulin. Yeah, so insulin is the part from the pancreas that will help store energy. So basically, you were not storing energy anymore for a long time, and then, of course, then you wake up one morning and say, I have no energy anymore, because
it was over a long time. It started I started noticing changes over a long time, but it just was I just put it down to maybe I'm just tired, or I've been working too hard, or something like that. I wasn't taking the time to stop and listen to my body, and listen to what was going on.
Yeah, it's so often that we think, it will go away. Yeah, and it's because before, what our experience is that we are a bit tired, it does go away. But then in this case, when you see it, it's going on and on and on, and it doesn't go away. We still think it's going to go away, and then suddenly you're 2 or 3 months down the road, and then suddenly it hits you like a hammer in a way. Yeah. That's what my patients, in my osteopathy practice, describe it when they come for treatment of burnout, or part of it. Suddenly it's all empty, but it's like you've been taking out all the energy from all your stores, and from all your cabinets, and then you still go on, and then suddenly you have no fuel anymore, and then
we don't listen to our intuition. Like, intuitively know something's going wrong, but we just dismiss that and push that down, and that's when it builds up and builds up and builds up.
So that's why I find it also important when we talk about this, and also when, how can we help people? Is I always think from, who is in your environment? For people who are very healthy but have a very busy schedule and very busy life, say from, train the people in your environment, that when they see that, that your level of stress is, when they see that it's influencing you, that they can notify you in time, in a way that, to create that communication between partners or people at work. So, that there is a sort of extra warning sign that if you don't want to see it yourself because you don't, that somebody else can say, hey, time out, I think,
And usually they say, you need a holiday, or I just need a holiday and I'll be fine. But that's not the case.
No.
Like a holiday is not going to fix what is chronically stressing us out, because that's something we need to deal with internally.
So I have two questions on that one. Is that, okay, how, first of all, so what did you change in your environment to then get over that? And the second part, how did you rebalance that hormonal level? Yeah, because
Right.
that's the two questions that, because it's so important that some people I found are prescribed just rest, take that holiday, and then after a week, a month's holiday, some of them or longer, they go back to work and they fall, after a week working, they come back in to burnout because that hormonal system hasn't really reset itself. It's not really worked on. So how did you deal with that?
Yeah, so I took a very holistic approach, so very much mind, body, spirit. And for me, I always look at, if something comes up into my life, it's like, what is this trying to teach me? Mm-hmm. So I always believe that it's for our own good. What is it trying to teach me? So I really looked at my beliefs, mm-hmm. and like looked at my lifestyle. And because the thing that I had to ask myself when I couldn't work, and work was so much a part of who I was, yes. I believed I got my self-worth from what I did, not from who I was. And so I had to look at, who am I without my work? So it was very much a deep dive into my soul and looking at my beliefs and saying, well, if I don't work, who am I? Where do I get my self-worth from? And also, why do I have the beliefs that you have to work your butt off in order to make something happen, or you have to work really, really hard or you don't achieve anything? And I realized that that's how I lived my whole life. Like, I guess, and I'm getting ahead of myself, but my story is, I grew up in a housing commission estate, and it was nicknamed the ghetto. So for me, like, nothing was ever given to me. I had to work for survival. Fight. And so when you grow up like that, you're just in survival mode, and as a child, you're just trying to get through life. But then when you come into adulthood and you can start to make your way, if you still have those sort of beliefs that you have to hustle in order to make money or get ahead or get what you want, then that just burns you out. That, for me, I found that there is a different energy to life. And if I stopped controlling everything, if I stopped thinking, how can I make this work? How can I get what I want to do? How can I get my goals? How can I make something appear in reality? Like, if I stopped trying to push myself, and that push energy, always striving, always hustling, always like that very masculine energy, that's great. But when you live like that 24/7, you just get burnt out. So what I learned was, there is a softer way to do life and to do business. There's a way where, if you slow down and you just come back to nature, to your breath, to that just the stillness of the now moment, when you have those moments and incorporate them into your life on a daily basis and commit to them, then everything slows down in your body. Your organs aren't running like this, and your nervous system slows down and everything, so that you're able then to go about your day, and you're not wired up from the moment you get up. You've had that time in the morning to sit still, to relax, to soften in the body, to soften your muscles, and then you can go about your day. So that's what I learnt, how to incorporate, I call them the sealer moments. In my book, I talk about having sealer moments. So it's having that time, whether it's 5 minutes, 10 minutes, an hour, where you just sit and be still, meditate, breathe, like focus in nature, whatever floats your boat, whatever gets you to be in that, out of your mind and into your body. And so by incorporating that, I really sort of incorporated the yin and the yang of business. And that for me was a big part of understanding that there is a different energy to do life, one where life sort of comes to you, and you can create this synchronicity and serendipity without you doing it. It's a big trust thing. It's a faith thing. It's a connecting with a higher power source, whatever that be for you, and then living from the heart. And that's how I do life and how I do business. And so I just trust that life has my back, and that I don't have to be the only one with my hands on the wheel, that there is another energy force helping me to create this life that I want to do. So that was a big part. And also for me to rebuild my energy, I really focused on nutrition, and I got into medicinal mushrooms and superfoods. So for me, it was cleaning out my diet and doing a deep cleanse, and then restoring and nourishing my adrenals. So in Chinese medicine, they call it the 3 treasures. So there's the qi, which is your normal energy that you expend in the day, the jing energy, which is the actual energy that sits on the kidneys, and that's what gets you through to round 12, and then the shen energy, which is your light and your glow. So medicinal mushrooms hold these energies. So when we incorporate them into our diet and into teas, and I put raw cacao in mine, and I have big hot chocolates and everything. So some people think, oh, mushrooms, but you can't taste them, and they really did restore those energies and help me to completely rebuild that adrenal jing energy that I was depleted in. And then the superfoods like my green smoothies and everything. So incorporating those in my diet, I believe, was one of the most significant ways that I could rebuild my energy.
Yeah. So basically, you refocused, and because you wanted more and more and more. So at one stage, you really had to refocus from this is what I want to do with my life. Yes. So to a little bit of, if I get it right, I'd like to reduce a little bit from your aspirations. It's not limiting them, but doing the ones better, or focusing more on that. This is what I would like to do. And that gives me energy.
It's a different way.
Because you said before with that business, you wanted this and that and that and that. So you're spreading your energy out, and maybe did you refocus it? Did I get it right there?
It wasn't so much of a refocus of what I was doing. It was a refocus of why I was doing it.
Okay.
And also coming from the fact that I was doing it because I felt worthy, not because I wasn't looking for self-worth outside of myself. When you have that self-worth in yourself, and you know that you believe that life is a gift, and you have strong self-esteem and confidence and everything, and you don't look for that outside of yourself, I was able to really build up my self-esteem, because I never had strong self-esteem as a child. It was very low. I always looked externally for people to say, hey, you're a good person, or hey, you deserve it, or something like that. So for me, it was not so much what I was doing, but why I was doing it, and just getting back that innate nature in yourself, that you're here for a reason.
Yeah.
And that you have like so many gifts. Everyone has the natural gifts, and they have something to bring, and we can serve other people and serve humanity and the world through what we do, if we just believe in ourselves enough to know that we deserve it.
So is that what you would, let's say, like for the viewer who, connects with your story and it recognizes a little bit of, you know, what's going on in their life. What would you say as like advice, you know, what is the first step they should do? Is that what you're saying, from, you know, re-put those values back together, you know?
Well, that's for me. I journaled. I journaled and journaled and journaled. So what was coming up for me was guilt. There was so much guilt that I couldn't work, and that I had staff that were working for me, and I was laying on the couch at 2:00 in the afternoon, and I wasn't working. So I had to look at, like, we get emotions, and it's our emotions and thoughts that I guess we have to be aware of, because we're not aware of them often enough. Or if an emotion comes up and we don't like it, we just suppress it. Oh, I don't like that. That makes me feel bad. Push it down and like ignore it. But eventually it's going to come up and it's going to like hit us over the head. And so you have to pay attention. And so for me, what the stress was doing and the burnout was saying, hey, let's look at, it's time to look at these emotions that are a pattern in your life, and that you keep recreating these experiences in your life. So it's a signal, it's life saying, hey, just take a moment, just spend some time and go deep and journal and look at why we're feeling guilty, or why we're feeling hurt or frustrated or angry, and do it from a place of stepping outside of yourself, not judging those emotions, not judging yourself for having those emotions, because that just stresses you out to begin with, because you're being judgmental. So sort of step outside, look at it as your life is a movie screen and you're watching it. And that way you can distance and disassociate yourself with what's going on in your life. So you're not trapped in the story. Step outside of your story, look at, these are my emotions, why do I feel guilty? And then just journal, and it will come up. So much healing comes up when you just go deep and just be aware and have the courage. It takes courage, and it takes a lot of self-love and self-acceptance to do that.
And it definitely also that, you know, that part of being the observer of yourself. Yes, I find that personally, I also had that experience. That was something that really helped me, just to, instead of being inside of it, I stepped out and looked at my life, and that became much easier to deal with, definitely in the beginning. Yeah, when you're facing that challenge, to look at yourself, daring to look at yourself, taking the courage to look at yourself, it's something really tough. And many people, I say, from like, you know, write it down, or, you know, answer these questions, say, oh, I can't do that, I can't do that. And say, from, you know, just step out of it. Yeah, really, it's take the courage to do it. Yeah. The only, you know, you start writing. It doesn't matter what it is, just do it. It's not as difficult as you think, but if you look at it, and that's the tip, I think, from outside, yeah, from have a look as an observer towards yourself, which makes it, I found it from my personal experience, much more bearable. Afterwards, once you get to that stage that you start to observe and you start to see the patterns and so forth, it becomes much easier to say from, okay, I also can write about me. It's not as you still start an observer, but being far more emotionally implied to it. Really, the writing down is, I think I agree with you, it's something that is so helpful. It's so underestimated. Yeah, just like your own as well, breathing exercises, and to take time out. In a way, it's not time, you invest time to recuperate time. It's like the minutes that you start doing the breathing exercises or the meditation, actually afterwards you'll recuperate that time you've invested, because as that serendipity and that flow you know, that you will get into actually makes things easier.
Yeah, because you're grounded, because you're not, when you're in that flow, you're not like attracting like all this drama into your life. And so even if it does come in, you're able to respond instead of react. Yes. So it's the drama that eats up our time. Oh, I've got to do this, and now this has popped up, and I've got to do this. And so that's what's stressing us out. But when we take the time to do the meditations in the morning, to still ourselves, to go quiet, then you're right, you're in the flow, and then it actually creates time for you, because you're not attracting the drama.
Indeed. So go on.
No, it's a commitment. It's like, it doesn't happen. You don't do it once and then like it happens. It's just a commitment to yourself, to honor yourself, to say, I'm worth this. I'm worth this.
Yes. And I say sometimes as well to people look, you know, that next cup of coffee or tea, it doesn't come to your mouth. Yeah, you have to make it, you have to brew it, and then bring it to your mouth and drink it. Yeah, it is the same thing. You know, if you want to nourish yourself in a different way, you know, you have to prepare it and you have to bring it to you. You know, neither is it's the same kind of nourishment. You know, soul nourishment, spiritual nourishment. Yeah, it's an action that you have to build into your daily pattern, to your daily life.
Yeah, absolutely. And another thing that came to me was like, stress is just your reaction to something that's happened. So everyone responds differently. So if something's stressing me out, I take a sealer moment and I say, why am I responding like this? Why am I feeling angry? Why am I feeling like overwhelmed or upset? And it's that in those moments of being able to just step outside yourself and write down what you're feeling, it just, the emotions dissolve onto the paper. So they're not right up front. You're not reacting and being a drama queen. You're just able to just take that time and let them come out and then release from you. And that's all they want to do. They want to be acknowledged and then let go.
So this year's topic of International Stress Awareness Day is speak up and speak out about stress. Do you have, like, to end this wonderful conversation, like a one sentence that you would like to give to the audience of our webcast?
Yeah, I think for me, slow down are not dirty words anymore.
Slow down.
Slow down. Yeah. We live in this fast-paced ASAP rat race, and we're just all boom, 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 boom. And if you had said to me like 5 years ago, slow down, just slow down, I'd be like, I don't have time to slow down. What are you talking about? There's things to do, there's people to see, I've got to make this, I've got to make this. And so what I've learned is it's in the slow down moments that determine your success. Mm-hmm. It's in those moments of just going a bit slower and taking the time out at the beginning of the day or in the middle of the day or at the end of the day. And it's what you do in those days, in those times, that help you with the rest of your day. So you can do the doing, and you can not get so stressed out about it because you're actually going slower. We've forgotten how to go slow. We've forgotten how to connect to nature and to just connect to our breath. And that's what's so important nowadays. Now, especially now when life is so fast.
Yes. Taking a deep breath myself here. Yes, it's indeed, sometimes you need to accelerate, but do not forget, when you accelerate also, our body needs to relax, to recuperate and to regenerate, to slow down, to load up the batteries so that we are ready for the next moment, in this kind of flow, up and down, irregular during the day. is really health. Yeah, it's to have that balance in your life. It cannot be all the time on. That's a recipe for disaster. Body, we're human, and human is conditioned by neurohormonal systems, which you obviously had experienced what that means when they're out of whack. And to balance that, I also think that breath is one of the key elements to really connect with yourself, but also really to connect with that neurohormonal system. You really can do some wonderful things with that. And feeling, the generating a feeling of calm. Because if you can feel it, you created a change in your neurohormonal systems. Yeah,
absolutely.
Because what is a feeling? It is a stimulus from the neurons and the hormones that are in the body. Well, Karina, I really think, again, very inspiring conversation on this International Stress Awareness Day. If people want to know more about you, where can they find your information?
Then go to KarinaStephens.com. And yeah, that's where all my social media links are as well and everything. So yeah, I think what you guys are doing is so amazing, that the work that you're bringing out into the world on this day and the attention is just wonderful. And I am honored that I'm part of this year. So thank you so much.
Thank you very much. Yes, and we'll have, in total it is about 15 interviews that we will be conducting. So
yeah, I can't wait to hear them.
Yeah, it's very inspiring. It's all new, but it's very inspiring. Anyway, I thank you very much. Wish you good luck also with spreading your message, with your business in your slow way. Surfing the wave, is about the right words to use, I think. And again, thank you so much to be willing to participate in today's success. Thank you.
Thank you.
I wish you a very good day. Bye. Bye.